This is Wizard Grandpa's Stories.
Oh, hello there. How nice to see you. Welcome to Wizard Grandpa's Stories. Today, I'd like to tell you the story of Anansi the drummer. So, you've heard some stories about Anansi, and you know he's a tricksy, clever character. This story is set long, long ago in Anansi's village. And there was to be a party, a great party called by the chief. But the chief didn't want to invite Anansi or any of his family. Because, you see, when Anansi and his family go to a party, they eat all the food you can think of. They eat it all, and there's nothing left for anyone else. So the chief decided not to invite Anansi or any of his family. However, it was quite hard to keep the knowledge of a party from Anansi, who listened to all the gossip and all the news and always knew whatever was going on. So Anansi heard that the chief was to hold a party, and he hadn't been invited. Anansi always had a plan. So, on the day of the party, he and his family got up very early, and they took all of their drums and all of their musical instruments down to the river, and they hid behind the bushes. The preparations for the party were taking place at the chief's house, and of course, in those days, they had no taps of running water inside the house. All the water came from the river. So the youngest daughter of the chief was sent with an empty bucket down to the river to get some water. Off she went down to the river, and she was just about to put the bucket into the river when Anansi started playing the drums. And remember, Anansi has got 8 legs. He began to play. He played and he played, and his family joined in. Oh, such rhythms you never heard. Anansi and his family were the masters of rhythm. And the rhythm was so great and the drumming was so fantastic that the girl who brought the bucket to collect the water couldn't help but to start dancing. And she danced, and she danced, and she danced, and she danced and danced and danced and danced until she fell exhausted onto the ground. Meanwhile, back at the party, they still were waiting for the water. None had come back. So the chief sent his second youngest daughter with another pail down to the river. And when she arrived, she saw her younger sister lying on the ground, exhausted. And she said to her, "What are you doing? Father is waiting for the water." "Oh, I've been dancing. I couldn't stop dancing. I'm exhausted now." "Dancing? What do you mean, dancing?" "Silly girl." And the second youngest daughter took her bucket and started to put it into the river when Anansi began to play the drums. Doom, 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 and all of his family joined in on their drums as well. And the music was so amazing that the second youngest daughter couldn't help but dance as well. And she danced around and around until she collapsed on the floor, exhausted. Back at the party, they still hadn't received any water, and they desperately needed it. So the chief sent his youngest son down to collect some water with another bucket. And you can guess what happened when he got there. Doom, 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 doom. And the next brother was sent, and the next sister, and then an uncle, and then an auntie, and then the neighbor. And gradually, one by one, all the people of the village were sent down to the river to collect water, and they didn't come back. The last person to go was the chief himself. And as he got nearer and nearer to the river, he could hear the rhythms, the drums, the chanting of Anansi and his family. And as he came near and near to the river, he saw the whole village dancing and jumping and leaping around, and the chief couldn't help but to do the same himself. And not one of them could stop. "What's going on?" his sister called. "I don't know," said the chief. "What's happening?" "I know," said the neighbor. "It's Anansi. It's Anansi. He's bewitched us all with his music." "Anansi," called the chief. "Is that you?" "Oh, yes," came the voice of Anansi. "It's me, all right. Me and my family. We'd like to make you dance." "Anansi, why are you doing this?" "Well, you didn't invite us to your party. What do you think was going to happen?" "Oh, Anansi, please stop. Please stop. We're getting so tired and we want to have our party." "Well," said Anansi, "we will stop if you invite us." "Oh, we can't do that, Anansi. You will gobble up all the food." "Yes, that's true, we will. But if you don't let us come to the party, there won't be any party at all." Now, everybody was getting so tired, and they all called out to the chief, "Please, please, please invite him so we can stop." So the chief said to Anansi, "Very well, Anansi, you are all very welcome to our party." And then the music stopped. And the people all fell on the ground. They were so tired. Anansi and his family leapt out of the bushes. "Let's go to the party," called Anansi, full of energy when everyone else was exhausted. And so they did. The whole village went to the chief's house for the party. And Anansi and his family leapt at the food and ate most of it, it has to be said. But the chief learned his lesson, and so did the rest of the village. If they are going to hold a party, don't forget to invite Anansi and his family. Because if you don't invite him, there won't be a party at all. Better to have a party with not much food, after Anansi and his family have eaten nearly everything. Better that than no party at all. And that is the story of Anansi the drummer. I hope you liked it. And I hope you like my other stories too. Come back and listen to some more. If you liked it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And bring all your friends when you come back to Wizard Grandpa's Stories. Ah, now where did I put that stick? There it is. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Come back soon. Bye-bye.